The hours we rented. I fix other people's time for a living. If a watch stops in my shop, I can usually tell why by listening. Tired spring, dry jewel, a gear that wants oil and an apology. My own time stopped at 2:17 p.m. on a rainy Thursday when I found a card in my wife's coat that said DAYROM pass in gold letters. The card smelled like sandalwood, not our house. Date, last Tuesday. Hours, 12:00:16:00. Hotel, the Seabird, a glass and wood slice of confidence downtown. On the back, lightly penciled, 512. I put it back and finished the Omega on my bench because work keeps my hands from making worse choices. After dinner, I broke our rule: don't ask questions while hungry by half an hour. I found a Dayroom pass in your coat, I said. The Seabird. Arya didn't flinch. She set the fork down like it had weight. Do you want the short version or the true one? True. I had lunch with someone, she said. A donor from the gala. We both had an afternoon free. The hotel felt like a place where nobody would need us. We kissed. I left after an hour and cried in the elevator. I'm sorry. I liked being in a room where I could choose to be wanted. I also hate that I did. There are many ways to be brave. One is to tell the truth and not move while the room decides about you. Arya didn't move. I believed her without wanting to, the way my hands believe the open of a case back they haven't seen before. Do you want to see him again? I asked, hating myself for needing the answer. Want is the wrong verb, she said. I don't want to want anything that doesn't point toward you. I slept sideways on the bed as if surface area could make distance softer. Every sound auditioned for the role of proof. I watched 2:17 blink and finally slept. Morning returned me to the bench light. A woman named Mina brought in a stubborn romantic. Her words for a watch that kept stopping and starting for no reason. She's a piano teacher. Her hands move like discipline pretending to be grace. We talked about winding schedules and how metal remembers. At lunch, I walked past the Seabird and hated it for its glass confidence. I sat in the bar with a tea I didn't want and stared at the elevator as if I could arrest it with attention. A man went up at 12:05 with the posture of someone who knows where mirrors are. He could have been anyone. I left with nothing but the image. That night, Arya put her phone in a drawer and said, "Can we be good at wanting each other again? Not fireworks, attention like a skill." You say it like we can schedule it, I said. We can, she said. Tell me when. Noon tomorrow, I said. We met at my shop because it always tells the truth. Bright lamp, flat table, nowhere to hide. She brought banh mi and an apology. She is beautiful when she eats, ungentle like hunger is allowed a face. I often forget the way my wife's neck calls my hands back to who I am. We talked about small things. The customer who insisted time zones were a conspiracy, my neighbor's cat who has learned the 4 p.m. sun patch. Then we talked about rooms. I don't want any more rented hours, she said, fingertips on the mat beside my tweezers. I want the ones we own, even if they're fluorescent. Fluorescent is honest, I said. We made a plan because plans are what people invent when control laughs. No phones in the bedroom for 30 days. One ugly diner lunch a week. One needy-sounding question a day. One thing done with hands, not screens. Cooking, polishing shoes, finally hanging the frames we kept leaning intentionally. It worked 3 days. On the 4th, I found a note in Arya's bag, hotel stationery, that smelled like someone else's cologne. 512 again. Just a phone number and a doodle of a bird, but the paper made it something. My hands did the angriest thing they know. They cleaned. I polished case backs that already shone and sorted screws by the kind of order that only panic respects. Arya came by at 5 with a calm face which made me want to ruin furniture. I put the note on the mat. She read it, closed her eyes, and nodded like a person agreeing with gravity. "He came to the office," she said. "I didn't ask him to. He wanted to apologize for making my job into a room. I told him to leave. I kept the paper because," she exhaled, "because part of me wanted a souvenir of being looked at like a choice. I'm wrong, I know. I'm telling you so I don't do it again." "Throw it out," I said. "You throw it out," she said, and put the decision in my palm. I slid the paper into the trash with a shame that didn't know whose name to answer to. That night we decided to be boring on purpose. 3 truths each. Mine: I'm jealous of a version of you who doesn't have to remember me while you impress rooms. I'm afraid of becoming the sort of man whose shop is the only place he is brave. I wanted to follow you to the Seabird and make a scene and didn't because I didn't want to meet that version of myself either. Hers: I'm afraid I can't be interesting without being unfair. I miss the way you used to look up every time I walked into a room. I didn't see. We kissed like we weren't sure if it was rehearsal or the show. When we slept, we left space and let tired do the work love couldn't. Weeks teach what single conversations can't. We did our lunches, learned the waitress's name at the ugly diner, tipped her like she was saving us on purpose. I taught Mina how to wind her stubborn romantic even when she wasn't wearing it, watch oils congeal when neglected, and so, frankly, do people. Arya started bringing me small office repairs, bracelets with broken clasps, a case that needed a new pin, a man who wanted his antique pocket watch to tick through a speech without dying midway. I liked the jobs because. Then the Seabird called me. Not the hotel, a fish. Mina's student had dropped her mother's watch into the aquarium at the lobby bar. They'd heard I was good with unlikely salvages. I almost said no because irony doesn't need help finding me. Then I said yes because I wanted to like myself in an elevator. I went at noon, apparently the hour I prefer for irreversible things. The lobby was the same confident glass. The bar was quiet. A clownfish blinked at me like it knew too much. The watch lay against a fake rock, ticking anyway, a small stubborn heart saying not yet. I rolled my sleeves, took off my ring, and went fishing. A kid clapped nearby. The bartender said I had hero energy, which made me laugh. I thanked the fish, took the watch apart on a napkin, shook salt from the case like grief from a coat, rinsed, dried, oiled wound. The second hand moved and kept moving. "Room 512 is lovely at this time of day," someone said behind me, voice smooth with self-esteem. I didn't turn. "Rooms aren't desserts," I said. "They don't improve in daylight." I put my ring back on and left without looking at the elevator. At home, I told Arya everything, not as a test, as a story with an ending I could live in. She listened with her hands flat on her thighs like she was grounding a circuit. "Thank you," she said. She didn't say for what. She didn't need to. We still mess up. She likes to be looked at and I like to be needed. Both desires forget to be polite. We repair in the open. We don't rent ours. We own the fluorescent ones. We keep a jar by the door where we drop our rings when we cook, not as symbolism, just because soap scum is a tyrant. Sometimes I wind her watch while she brushes her teeth, and she smiles at me in the mirror like we remember to dance. Last week Mina brought the stubborn romantic to show off its new discipline. "Look," she said, "I float now," then blushed at her metaphor. When she left, she touched my sleeve and I noticed on purpose and chose not to keep the notice. Choosing can be a kind of love, too. If you came into my shop and asked me what time it is, I could tell you the hour and how to keep it. Wind what you love. Wear it. Use it or it forgets you. Oil dries when you aren't looking. So do people. Every morning before I flip the sign, I set the regulator on the wall clock and listen. If the tick is fast, I nudge it back toward now. If it's slow, I give it a little more courage. Then I unlock the door and try to know the difference.